If you have no idea what this movie even is, don't worry, you're not alone. I'm a Godzilla fan and I didn't even know what it was. I vaguely remember it coming out a while back and I ended up not seeing it, mainly due to me not knowing what it was and not even understanding what the title meant. But apparently Shin means new or true or even God, but I don't think they understood just how much Shin Godzilla as a title doesn't translate well to Western audiences. So Shin Godzilla is a standalone reboot of the Godzilla franchise, being produced and distributed by Toho, the same company behind Godzilla Minus One, another Godzilla reboot. Anyway, that means this is completely unconnected to the legendary MonsterVerse. It follows Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary Rando Yaguchi as he and the rest of the Japanese leadership handle an unprecedented crisis, the attack of a one-of-a-kind, virtually indestructible monster known as Godzilla. Can they stop Godzilla from his reign of terror, and at the same time, can they keep other global powers from interfering and using much less safe methods to ensure Godzilla doesn't destroy the world next? Hey, I'm the guy with no name. Thanks for stopping by my channel. If you don't know who I am, I love to talk about movies, TV shows, and eventually some video games. But before we continue, I just wanted to mention that I'm trying to get to 350 subscribers as quickly as I can. So if you enjoy the video, show your support by liking and subscribing. Forgive me if I butcher any of these, but Shin Godzilla was co-written and directed by Hideki Anno and stars Hiroki Hasegawa as Rando Yaguchi, Satomi Ishihara as a Japanese-American named Kyoko Ann Patterson, daughter to the US ambassador to Japan, Yutaka Takanouchi as Hideki Akasaka, a mentor of sorts to Yaguchi, and a multitude of others as supporting characters. To clarify, this is actually a 2016 film that Toho decided to re-release in theaters because it's coming out in 4K. But like I said, I've been a lifelong Godzilla fan. I think I've seen every single film at least once, if not more than once. And yeah, I was completely unaware of Shin Godzilla, even to the point that right before the movie started, I was actually thinking it was an animated film and not a full-on live-action one. Let me start out by saying that I appreciate Toho's approach to Shin Godzilla. It's a modern-day reboot that focuses much more on realism than any of its predecessors. At the end of the day, aside from the fantastical element that is Godzilla, it's basically about a bunch of real people trying to figure out a solution to an unprecedented destructive event. Shin Godzilla, much like Godzilla Minus One, focuses heavily on the human characters. Unfortunately though, in this one, they're not as interesting, and it's not to do with the actors. I think the actors all seem to do a great job, but their characters are just serviceable. We're not really given the time to get to know them very well, and we're not given really any of their backgrounds or anything like that. And that kind of leads me right into the next point, that this movie is very fast-paced. Not that it's non-stop action or anything like that, and just so you know, the bulk of this movie is actually a bunch of people in meetings trying to figure out how they're going to respond to this threat. But just that the editing is really choppy, the dialogue is delivered very quickly, and there's barely any pauses in the conversations. Also, be prepared that there's basically no lead-in, meaning when the movie starts, there's not really much time devoted to setting anything up, and it just starts. And also, we don't stay in one location very long. We move a lot from location to location. Like, for example, you might jump into the middle of a meeting and linger there for 10-20 seconds, and then without warning, jumping immediately to people running in the street away from Godzilla, staying there about 10 seconds, then jumping immediately to the middle of a conversation that's going on in a different area, and so on. So I'm not even saying I disliked that per se. It was kind of an interesting way to do things, but it did take some getting used to, that's for sure. And also, if you're one that doesn't like reading subtitles, you're out of luck, because this is a Japanese movie. They speak Japanese except for a few times when they speak English, so you'll be reading subtitles the whole time. But how is Godzilla? Well, he's definitely different from any of the other iterations that we've gotten so far. For starters, he mutates into different forms until he finally gets to somewhat resembling what we're used to Godzilla looking like, but man, in his first form, he looks really weird and lifeless and grotesque. And even by the time he gets to his final mutated form, he looks pretty ugly and revolting. And then also the way he shoots his atomic breath is more unnerving than we've seen before. I guess I like that they tried to set aside his look and the iteration from all the others, but I didn't really appreciate the execution. I didn't like how they went for the approach of, oh, this is like a more gross, like weird alien monstrosity thing that is driven by his most basic animalistic instincts. And it seems like his intelligence isn't quite as high as the other Godzillas that we've seen in the past. He does some smart things, but for the most part, he seems like this mindless thing that barely has a thought aside from just destroying everything in his path. And then also another preference thing, I like the Godzilla movies where he's a good guy and he's the protector of humanity and fights bad monsters, but in this one, this is a Godzilla movie where he's the villain and they're trying to stop him from killing everybody. So I prefer when he's good versus when he's bad. And also the CGI, I will say it's not that good, but I do cut them slack considering their budget. Overall, it's a decent and unique Godzilla film. It does feel like though that Shin Godzilla walked so that Godzilla -1 could run. I'm glad I saw it, but I don't really care to see it again, and I'm not too excited for the sequel that's in development. Despite all that, I do think it's just enjoyable enough for Godzilla fans to earn a good rating from me. Let me know in the comments if you've seen Shin Godzilla 2, or if you even know what the heck that is. Also, what's your favorite Godzilla movie of all time? I'd love to talk to you about it. I really do try to get to each and every comment, and if you made it this far, I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Check out my review of Godzilla -1 if you want to talk about more Godzilla content with me. This is the guy with no name, signing off.